Unknown. But they are coming fast, and they are bringing enough firepower to destroy this entire asteroid field. Nari stepped forward, the marks on her back beginning to glow brighter through her shirt. They are hunting me. As long as I am here, everyone is in danger. We will not abandon you, Lee said firmly. That is not who we are. You do not understand, Nari said, her silver eyes filled with determination. My people, the Void Walkers, are the most hunted of all the surviving species. The humans want us because we can travel between stars without ships. We can see the hidden paths through space and time. She turned to face everyone in the room. If the government gets this ability, they will become unstoppable. They will hunt down every alien in the galaxy and turn them into weapons. Hyun could see that Nari was making a difficult decision. What are you thinking? There is a place, she said slowly, a hidden sanctuary where the last free Void Walkers live. It is very far away, in a part of space that humans have never explored. My people there do not know about the research facilities or the hunting. They think they are safe. You want to warn them, Lee said. Yes. But more than that. I want to bring them here, to help fight back. My people have abilities that could change everything. We could make it so the government can never catch another alien refugee. Park Sumi looked up from her computers. The government ships are getting closer. We need to evacuate everyone in the next 4 hours. Nari walked to the star charts on the wall and touched one with her finger. The marks on her back flared with bright light, and suddenly new paths appeared on the chart, glowing lines that connected distant stars. I can guide us there, she said, but it is dangerous. The journey will take us through parts of space that human ships were never meant to go. Some of you might not survive. Lee looked around the room at his people. They were all scared, but none of them looked like they wanted to run away and hide. My grandmother used to tell me something when I was young, Nari said, her voice soft but strong. She said that in the darkest times, you discover who truly carries light in their heart. You people have shown me that not all humans are the same. She turned to Hyun, her silver eyes meeting his. Will you help me save my people and yours? Hyun thought about everything that had led him to this moment. Finding Nari on the station, learning the truth about the government's crimes, meeting these brave rebels who had given up everything to protect innocent beings. Yes, he said, let us go bring some light to the darkness. The journey to find. Nari's people was unlike anything Hyun had ever experienced. Their small fleet of rebel ships followed her through parts of space that seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways. Stars appeared where there should have been empty darkness, and sometimes Hyun could swear he saw colors that had no names. We are almost there, Nari said, standing at the front of the bridge with her arms spread wide. The marks on her back were blazing with silver light, and her eyes had become completely silver, like mirrors reflecting distant stars. Can you feel it? Hyun could feel something. The air around them seemed to hum with energy, and he had the strange sensation that they were not just moving through space, but through time itself. Other crew members looked nervous, but Commander Lee Minho stood steady beside him. I have never seen anything like this, Lee whispered. Suddenly the twisted space around them opened up like a flower blooming, and they found themselves in a place that took Hyun's breath away. Floating in the void was not a planet, but something that looked like a city made of living light. Structures that seemed to be built from crystallized starlight spiraled and danced through space, connected by bridges of pure energy. Welcome to the last free sanctuary of the Void Walkers, Nari said, and for the first time since Hyun had met her, she sounded truly happy. Ships approached them, but these were not the metal vessels that humans built. They looked like they were made from the same living light as the city, flowing and changing shape as they moved. Soon their fleet was surrounded by dozens of these beautiful craft. They want to know why we brought humans here, Nari said, listening to sounds that Hyun could not hear. They are frightened. They have heard stories about what humans do to other species. Tell them we are different, Lee said. Tell them we are here to help. The docking process was strange and wonderful. Instead of metal airlocks, they walked through walls of soft light that felt warm against their skin. On the other side, Hyun found himself in a place that was like a dream. The Void Walkers who greeted them looked similar to Nari, but each one was unique. Some had skin that shimmered like water. Others had markings that moved like living tattoos across their bodies. All of them had the same silver eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. An elderly void walker approached them, moving with the fluid grace that Hyun had first noticed in Nari. She was tall and elegant, with silver hair that seemed to float around her head like she was underwater. "I am Elder Seo Yuna," she said in perfect Korean. "I chose this name during the years I spent observing your world, trying to understand your people. You have been to Earth?" Hyun asked, surprised. "Many times. We have been watching humanity for centuries, hoping to see what path your species would choose. We have seen great kindness and terrible cruelty, sometimes from the same individuals." Elder Yuna led them through the city, which was even more amazing up close. The buildings were alive, growing and changing as they watched. Gardens floated in the air, filled with plants that glowed with their own inner light. Children played games that involved making small stars dance between their fingers. "Your people built this?" Lee asked, his voice full of wonder. "We grew it," Elder Yuna corrected. "We do not build like humans do. We work with the natural forces of the universe, guiding them instead of fighting them." They gathered in a great hall that had walls made of transparent crystal. Through them, Hyun could see the swirling energies of the folded space that hid this sanctuary from the rest of the galaxy. "Nari has told us about the hunting, about the research facilities," Elder Yuna said to the assembled group of rebels. "We knew this day would come. We have been preparing." "Preparing for what?" Hyun asked. "For the choice we must make. We could hide here forever, watching as humanity destroys every other species in the galaxy. Or we could act." Elder Yuna gestured, and the crystal walls showed images of the universe outside their sanctuary. Hyun saw the government ships that had been chasing them, still searching through the asteroid fields. He saw the research facilities, the caged aliens, the weapons being built from stolen alien technology. "Your species stands at a crossroads," Elder Yuna said. "Some of your people choose to elevate others, to build bridges between different kinds of life. Others choose to exploit and destroy. We have decided to share our knowledge, but only with those who have proven they walk the path of elevation." Over the following days, something extraordinary happened. The Void Walkers began teaching the Korean rebels their secrets, not just the technology of space travel, but a completely different way of thinking about the universe. Hyun was chosen to be the first human to undergo the full training. It was the most difficult and beautiful experience of his life. The Void Walkers taught him to see the hidden connections between all things, to feel the currents of energy that flowed between stars. "You are learning to see with more than your eyes," Elder Yuna explained as Hyun sat in meditation, his consciousness expanding to touch the edges of other dimensions. "Your people have always tried to conquer space and time. We have learned to dance with them." The training changed him. When Hyun looked at the stars now, he could see the pathways between them, the hidden roads that connected everything in the universe. He could feel the life force of every being around him, alien and human alike. As their time in the sanctuary came to an end, Elder Yuna made an announcement that would change the galaxy forever. "We will not hide anymore," she declared. "We will work with humans like you to build a new kind of civilization, one where different species help each other grow instead of trying to destroy each other." When they finally left the sanctuary, it was not as refugees running from the government, but as ambassadors of a new way of living. Hyun piloted his ship through the folded space, but now he could see the path clearly. The marks on his own arms beginning to glow with the same silver light that marked Nari's back. Behind them, the Void Walker city began to move, preparing to emerge from its hiding place and join the fight for a better universe. "I do not know. The humans said my people were all dead, but I can feel others sometimes very far away, like whispers in my mind." "Why did you trust me?" he asked. Nari smiled, and even with her strange silver eyes, it was a sad smile. "Because when you found me, you gave me food without asking for anything. You did not try to touch me or hurt me. Most humans are not like that." The ship's computer interrupted them. "Captain, incoming transmission. Source, Colonial Security Forces. They are requesting permission to board and search the vessel." Hyun and Nari looked at each other. Her silver eyes were wide with fear, and the marks on her back began glowing brighter. "They found me," she whispered. "They always find me." Hyun made a decision that surprised even himself. He walked to the communication panel and switched it off without answering the transmission. "Not this time," he said. Hyun had made a terrible mistake. He thought he could contact Colonial Command and explain the situation, maybe get help for Nari through official channels. But when he sent his message asking for guidance about an alien refugee, the response came back within minutes, and it was not what he expected. "Captain Park Hyun, you are ordered to maintain current position and prepare for immediate boarding. Do not attempt to leave your current coordinates. Failure to comply will result in your arrest for treason." Treason. The word hit him like a physical blow. He was trying to help someone, and they were calling him a traitor. Within 2 hours, his scanner showed 3 military ships approaching fast. They were not the small patrol vessels he was used to seeing. These were heavy assault cruisers, the kind used during the resource wars to destroy entire cities. Cargo Vessel Park's dream. This is Commander Jang of the Colonial Security Forces. You are harboring an escaped asset of extreme value to Earth's security. Surrender the alien immediately, and you will be treated with leniency. Hyun looked at Nari, who was sitting in the co-pilot chair with her arms wrapped around her knees. Her silver eyes were wide with terror, and the marks on her back were glowing so brightly he could see them through her borrowed shirt. "They call me an asset," she said bitterly, "like I am a piece of equipment they own." "We are going to run," Hyun said, his hands already moving over the ship's controls. "Hold on." The next few hours were the most frightening of Hyun's life. His cargo hauler was not built for high-speed chases, but he knew these asteroid fields better than most people. He had been smuggling medicine and food to refugee camps for years, using the floating rocks as cover from patrol ships. As they hid behind a massive asteroid, Nari told him things that made his blood run cold. "The resource wars never really ended," she said, her voice flat and empty. "Your government told everyone they were over, but they just changed. Instead of fighting other humans, they started hunting species like mine." "That cannot be true," Hyun said. But even as he spoke, he remembered the strange stories he had heard over the years. Ships that disappeared in deep space, refugee camps that were suddenly empty overnight, officials who asked too many questions, about alien survivors. "When the wars ended, your people found something," Nari continued. "They discovered that other species had survived the galactic conflicts. Instead of trying to make peace, your leaders decided to capture us and study us. They wanted our abilities, our technology, our knowledge." She touched the marks on her back, and they pulsed with brighter light. "My people can travel between stars without ships. We can see the hidden paths through space and time. Your government wants to put that power into machines to make weapons." Hyun felt sick. "How many facilities are there?" "I do not know." "Many. They are hidden on small moons and asteroids where no one looks. The humans who work there are told they are doing important research for Earth's future." The scanner beeped, showing the military ships getting closer. Hyun knew he needed help, but he did not know who to trust. Then he remembered something from his smuggling days. There had been rumors about Korean colonial marines who had gone rogue, who refused to follow certain orders. People said they were protecting refugees instead of hunting them. Using his old smuggling contacts, Hyun sent out a coded message on a frequency that criminals and rebels used. Within an hour, he got a response that gave him hope. "This is Commander Lee Minho of the Free Colonial Marines. We have been expecting someone like you. Follow these coordinates, and we will provide protection." "Can we trust them?" Nari asked. "I do not know," Hyun admitted, "but we do not have many choices." The coordinates led them to an abandoned mining station deep in the asteroid belt. As they docked, Hyun saw other ships hidden in the rocks around them. Some were military vessels with their identification numbers painted over. Others were cargo, haulers like his own. Commander Lee Minho was waiting for them at the airlock. He was a tall man with scars on his face and hands, the kind that came from real combat. But his eyes were kind when he looked at Nari. "You are safe here," he said. "We have been protecting people like her for 2 years now." "People like her?" Hyun asked. "Alien survivors. Your government has been hunting them across the galaxy, but some of us decided that was wrong. We took an oath to protect innocent people. not to cage them and torture them. Lee led them through the station, showing them rooms full of beings that looked nothing like humans. Some had scales, others had fur or feathers. All of them had the same haunted look in their eyes that Nari had carried when Hyun first found her. "How many?" Hyun asked. "Hundreds that we have saved. Thousands more that we could not reach in time." Lee's voice was heavy with sadness. "The facilities are everywhere. They take families apart, use children as test subjects. It is worse than anything we did during the resource wars." That night, as Nari slept safely for the first time in years, she showed Hyun something amazing. The marks on her back began to move, forming a complex pattern that looked like a map of the galaxy. "This is not just decoration," she said. "These marks show the location of my people's last free settlement. The humans do not know it exists yet, but they will find it eventually. When they do, my species will truly be extinct." Hyun looked at the living star map on her back and made a decision that would change his life forever. "Then we need to warn them first." The mining station Sejong 7 was bigger than Hyun had expected. What looked like an abandoned rock from the outside was actually a bustling base filled with people who had risked everything to do what they thought was right. As Commander Lee Min-ho led him and Nari through the corridors, Hyun saw dozens of Korean men and women working together, fixing ships, preparing supplies, and caring for alien refugees. "Most of us served in the resource wars," Lee explained as they walked. "We were soldiers, engineers, medics. We thought we were heroes, fighting to give humanity a better future among the stars." They stopped at a large window that looked out into space. In the distance, Hyun could see the remains of a destroyed planet, nothing left but floating chunks of rock and metal. "That was Kepler 438b, Lee said quietly. "We bombed it during the final year of the war. 500,000 people lived there. We told ourselves they were the enemy, that they wanted to destroy Earth and all human colonies." Lee's scarred face was filled with sadness. "After the war ended, we learned the truth. The people on that planet were not soldiers. They were farmers and teachers and children. They had been trying to surrender for months, but our commanders never told us." Nari stepped closer to the window, her silver eyes reflecting the floating debris. "The wars destroyed so many worlds, so many families. When we came home," Lee continued, "we thought the killing was over. But then we started getting new orders. Hunt down alien survivors, capture them for research. We were told it was for Earth's security, that these beings were dangerous." They continued walking through the station. In one room, Hyun saw a family of blue-skinned aliens working on some kind of technology. In another, creatures with feathers instead of hair were teaching young ones how to read human writing. "Some of us could not do it anymore," Lee said. "We had seen enough war, enough death. When we were ordered to raid refugee camps and take people to the research facilities, we made a choice." "You disobeyed orders," Hyun said. "We followed a higher order. The one that tells you not to hurt innocent people." Lee stopped at a door marked with Korean writing. "This is our command center. I want to show you something." Inside the room, the walls were covered with star charts and photographs. Some of the pictures showed alien families being torn apart by human soldiers. Others showed the inside of research facilities, where beings like Nari were kept in cages. "We have been running an underground railroad for 2 years now," Lee explained. "We use cargo ships like yours to move refugees to safe places beyond Earth's reach. We have saved over 300 beings so far." A young Korean woman named Park. Sumi approached them. She had been working at one of the computer terminals and her face was worried. "Commander, we have a problem," she said. "Government forces are moving toward our location. 3 battle groups, maybe more. They will be here in 6 hours." Lee cursed under his breath. "How did they find us?" Captain Park Hyun stared at the young woman sitting across from him in the cramped mess hall of his cargo ship. She was eating her 3rd meal pack in less than an hour, her thin fingers trembling as she spooned the processed food into her mouth. Every few seconds, her dark eyes would dart toward the sealed airlock door, as if she expected someone to burst through at any moment. He had found her 3 hours ago, collapsed on the metal floor outside Loading Bay 7 on Titan Station. At first, he thought she was dead. Her body was curled up like a scared animal and her clothes were torn and dirty. When he knelt down to check for a pulse, She had grabbed his wrist with surprising strength and whispered something in broken Korean, mixed with sounds he had never heard before. "What is your name?" Hyun asked softly, trying not to frighten her more than she already was. Kim Nari," she said, but her voice wavered like she was not sure if that was really her name. Hyun had been hauling cargo between Earth's outer colonies for 15 years, ever since the resource wars finally ended in 2157. Those wars had been brutal. Entire planets had been bombed until nothing was left but dust and radiation. Millions of people had fled their homes, becoming refugees who wandered from station to station looking for work and safety. He had helped many of them over the years, giving them rides to new colonies or sharing his food when they had nothing. But this girl was different from the other refugees he had met. Her skin was too pale, almost white like fresh snow. When she moved, it was with a strange flowing grace that reminded him of water or smoke. Sometimes, when she thought he was not looking, she would tilt her head in a way that seemed too far to one side for a normal person. "Where did you come from?" he asked, offering her another meal pack. She took it eagerly, her eyes never leaving his face. "Far away," she said in careful Korean. "Very far away. Bad place. They hurt people there." Hyun felt a chill run down his spine. During the resource wars, he had heard stories about secret facilities where terrible experiments were done on prisoners. Most people thought they were just rumors, but looking at this frightened girl, he wondered if some of those stories might be true. "Who hurt you?" he asked. Nari shook her head quickly and looked down at her food. "Cannot say. They have ears everywhere. They listen." For the next hour, Hyun watched her eat and tried to make sense of what he was seeing. She held her spoon wrong, gripping it with her whole fist like a small child. When she drank water, she made small humming sounds of pleasure as if she had not tasted clean water in a very long time. But strangest of all was the way she moved her eyes. Instead of looking around the room normally, she seemed to see things that were not there, tracking invisible movements in the air above their heads. "Are you sick?" he asked, worried that she might have some kind of disease from the refugee camps. "Not sick," she said, then paused. "Different. I am different." As she spoke, Hyun noticed something odd about her shadow on the wall. While she sat perfectly still, her shadow seemed to flicker and shift, sometimes appearing larger than it should be, sometimes smaller. He blinked hard and looked again, but the shadow was normal. "How long were you on the station?" he asked. 3 days. "Maybe 4. Time is hard here." She touched her forehead as if it hurt. "Everything is hard here." Hyun had made his decision even before he found her. His cargo hold was half empty, and his next stop was New Seoul Colony, where the authorities were more relaxed about checking passenger documents. She could hide there until she figured out what to do next. "You can stay on my ship," he said. "I have an extra cabin. It is small, but it has a bed and a shower." For the first time since he found her, Nari smiled. It was a strange smile, too, wide and showing too many teeth, but it was genuine. "Thank you," she said. "You are kind. Not many are kind anymore." As she stood to follow him to the spare cabin, Hyun caught a glimpse of something glowing faintly through the torn fabric of her shirt. It looked like marks or scars on her back, pulsing with a soft blue light that reminded him of the deep ocean. When he blinked, the glow was gone. "Are you hurt?" he asked, pointing to her back. Nari quickly pulled her shirt closed and shook her head. "Old marks. From before, they do not hurt anymore." But Hyun saw fear return to her eyes, and he decided not to ask any more questions. Whatever had happened to this girl, whatever those marks on her back meant, she had been through enough. Now all that mattered was getting her somewhere safe. As his ship pulled away from Titan Station and entered the darkness of space, Hyun could not shake the feeling that he had just made a choice that would change everything. He looked back at the closed door of the spare cabin and wondered what secrets Kim Nari was hiding, and whether helping her had been the right thing to do. 3 days had passed since they left Titan Station, and Hyun thought Nari was getting better. She had stopped jumping at every small sound, and she was eating normal amounts of food, instead of stuffing herself like she was afraid it would disappear. They were halfway to New Seoul Colony when everything changed. It happened during dinner. Nari was telling him about a dream she had about flying between stars when she suddenly stopped talking. Her face went very pale, and she grabbed the edge of the table with both hands. "I feel strange," she whispered. Then her eyes rolled back and she fell forward. Hyun caught her before she hit the floor, but she was completely limp in his arms. He could feel her heart beating very fast, like a small bird trapped in a cage. As he lifted her up to carry her to the medical bay, he heard a terrible ripping sound. Her old torn shirt finally gave up and split completely down the back. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. Her entire back was covered with marks that glowed with soft blue and silver light. They were not tattoos or scars, like he had thought before. These marks were alive. They moved across her skin like liquid metal, forming patterns that hurt his eyes to look at directly. Some looked like writing in a language he had never seen. Others looked like maps of stars and planets that shifted and changed as he watched. He laid her down on the medical scanner as gently as he could, trying not to stare at the impossible things moving under her skin. The ship's computer began its automatic health check, and Hyun waited for the results that would tell him she had some kind of rare disease or genetic problem. Instead, the computer's voice filled the medical bay with words that made no sense. "Captain Park Hyun, medical scan complete. Patient shows no human genetic markers. DNA structure unknown. Cellular composition matches no known Earth-based life forms." "That cannot be right," Hyun said. "Run the scan again." Scan confirmed. Cross-referencing biological data with xenobiology database. Match found. Species designation Voidwalker. Last known population extinct approximately 3,000 years ago. Hyun stared at the unconscious girl on the medical table. The computer was telling him that Nari was not human at all, but some kind of alien that was supposed to be dead for thousands of years. It was impossible, but the glowing marks on her back were still moving, creating new patterns that looked like star charts. "Computer, what is a Voidwalker?" he asked. Voidwalkers were an ancient species capable of natural space-time manipulation. They could travel between star systems without mechanical assistance. Historical records indicate they were hunted to extinction during the Great Purge approximately 3,000 years ago. Before Hyun could ask more questions, Nari's eyes opened, but they were not the dark brown eyes he had gotten used to seeing. These eyes were silver like liquid mercury, and they seemed to hold tiny stars that moved in slow circles. "Please," she said, and her voice was different too. She spoke perfect Korean now, with no accent and no hesitation. "Do not let them take me back to the facility." Hyun took a step back from the medical table. His mind was trying to process what he was seeing, but it felt like trying to hold water in his hands. "You are not human," he said, and it was not a question. Nari sat up slowly, pulling the torn pieces of her shirt around herself. The marks on her back pulsed brighter for a moment, then faded to a dim glow. "No," she said. "I am sorry I lied to you. I had to. If they knew what I really was, they would never stop hunting me." "The facility you escaped from. What did they do to you there?" Nari's silver eyes filled with tears that looked like liquid starlight. "They found me when I was very young. My family was killed, and I was alone. The humans at the facility said they would help me, but they lied. They kept me in a cage and did experiments. They wanted to learn how my people could travel through space without ships." She touched the marks on her back through her torn shirt. "These are not decorations. They are part of who I am. They show me the paths between stars, the hidden roads that connect all things. The humans wanted to cut them out of me and put them in machines." Hyun felt sick, thinking about what she had been through. "How many others like you are there?